All right, I think that we're getting ready. I'll wait for my phone to notify us because I love that feature. All right, I think that we are live and ready to roll. Buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Hillary Walsh, la abogada de Inmigracion a Nueva Frontera. Aquí estoy con Sara, la única, y abogada Lauren, la experto de tráfico y casos de VAWA. Hola, amigas.
Hola a todos.
Hola, hola.
Okay, Sarah, today is Visa Tuesday. It's always exciting. And we're going to have just a conversation to dispel myths about human trafficking. So thank you for being our host.
Así es, hoy es martes de tráfico. El día de hoy vamos a estar tomando el tema y vamos a estar hablando de unos cuantos mitos alrededor de estos casos, de este proceso y en general de el tráfico humano o como lo conocemos, la trata de blancas.
Lauren, when we think about domestic violence that the government regards as trafficking, what are some of the things that you, me, Sarah, people who are watching might be surprised to realize what someone might think is domestic violence, or maybe someone might think is just a normal part of a relationship, is actually regarded as trafficking by the US government?
Exacto. La abogada le pregunta a la abogada Lauren cuáles son algunos factores que la abogada o yo o las personas que están mirando podríamos confundir con violencia doméstica, incluso hasta cosas normales en una relación, pero que en realidad podrían ser un potencial caso de tráfico.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because we get a lot of trafficking cases and VAWA cases, but you can kind of see the difference. There obviously is overlap, but as far as the government's concerned, and what I can see as well, is that it seems like in the trafficking cases, the women are forced to work excessive hours. Like, whereas in the VAWA cases, the abuse is more like, you know, I want to control you, I want to make you feel bad about yourself. You know, I might even hit you. But in the trafficking cases, the goal is to make the victim work and to serve the trafficker. So in most of our cases, the women have to wake up. I mean, and they're men too. I'm just talking about, you know, we'll go with the stereotype for now and talk about, yeah, most of our domestic violent trafficking cases are about women, but they're forced to wake up early in the morning to make their trafficker or their, like, you know, expareja breakfast. And if the breakfast isn't made correctly, they often get slapped, beaten. One woman was pushed so hard that she fell to the floor, hit her head, and passed out.
Exacto, entonces tenemos una serie de casos que pueden ser lo mismo, que se pueden parecer o que pueden compartir características cuando se trata de violencia doméstica y tráfico. Normalmente en los casos de violencia doméstica o de VAWA, de crueldad, hay un objetivo de hacer a la persona sentir menos, de quitar su valor, de controlarla. En los casos del tráfico puede ser que esta violencia esté presente, pero también puede ser que no. Y la coerción se lleva a cabo a través de trabajo forzado. Hay tareas tan simples como la mujer o el hombre, tenemos los dos casos, se tienen que levantar extremadamente temprano para hacer el desayuno de su traficante o de su pareja, y si el desayuno no está hecho de la manera correcta, recuerdo un caso en el que las tortillas tenían que estar hechas a mano, entonces reciben cierto tipo de abuso, puede ser psicológico, puede ser físico. En una ocasión tuvimos un caso donde por esta misma situación la persona recibió un golpe que la llevó al piso y a perder la conciencia. Entonces, hay similitudes, pero y lo importante es reconocer un potencial caso.
Mm-hmm. And so often our clients tell us, you know, I wasn't allowed to sit down. Like if my trafficker or expareja, whatever you want to call him, ever noticed that I was resting, you know, he would be furious, and, you know, he would push me and be like, get up and work, get up, whether it's cooking, cleaning. We've got clients who had to clean shoes with their toothbrushes. I mean, they're their trafficker's shoes, not their own shoes, clean rugs with toothbrushes. I mean, just work that is just, it's insane. It doesn't make any sense. But once again, the purpose is to make this person work. Like they have no value as a person. They just have to work all the time.
Exacto, entonces también tuvimos otros casos donde si la persona la llegaban a ver sentada o descansando, su abusador o su traficante le exigía que trabajara, que cocinara, que limpiara. Llegaron a casos tan extremos como limpiar zapatos con un cepillo de dientes, limpiar una alfombra con un cepillo de dientes. Entonces, estas situaciones podrían parecer como tareas del hogar, pero esto es excesivo. El abuso, el trabajo forzado es excesivo. Y es ahí donde se encuentran las características de abuso. No tienes tú ningún valor a menos que estés trabajando, a menos que estés haciendo algo para mí, a menos que me estés sirviendo.
Exactly.
I don't know if you're like me, Lauren, where once you start really thinking about trafficking, you start seeing it everywhere, even in accepted pop culture. But one example, as you were describing that, made me think of the movie Leap, which I can't remember, like Dakota Fanning's little sister was in. Sarah, I don't know if you ever saw that movie. It's animated, like a Disney movie.
Fancy.
But it's a little girl who, and it's animated. She and it has it's really cute. So it's also just one. It's fun to watch. But I watched it with my kids, and it has that amazing underdog theme to it, and it's set in Paris. So you would maybe like that, the France connection, Lauren. But she is an orphan and she moves to Paris because she wants to go to this very prestigious ballet school. And she finds herself working for room and board for this lady. And the lady who she's living with works for this really awful rich lady. And they make them work constantly. And it's this demeaning undertone of, it's not simply that you have, like there's in the movie, there's a wrapped staircase. And it's not simply that you have to wash this. Yes, it's one, like I have done hard work in my life. I have washed stairs. I have pulled weeds. I have done all the hard things. I've dug through trash cans when I worked at a restaurant of old scraped out food to find the silverware that was left over that accidentally got scraped into the trash can. That's not trafficking. It's really hard work. But when I watch this with a trafficking lens, and you see this mean lady in the movie knock the bucket of water over and tell them, do it again. And it's the middle of the night and they just finished it. Oh, I just got chills all over. That's trafficking. That is trafficking.
Ok, la abogada Hillary le comenta a Lauren que no sabe si a ella le pasa que una vez que empiezas o identificas el tráfico, es fácil identificarlo en muchos lugares o verlo o reconocerlo, y que incluso sucede con las películas, con la cultura pop. Entonces, ella estaba viendo una película de animación donde esta pequeña niña huérfana tiene que trasladarse a París a una escuela muy prestigiosa de ballet. Ahí ella tiene que trabajar con otra persona que a su vez trabaja con una persona muy exigente, muy mala. Y lo importante aquí es reconocer las diferencias. La abogada platica como cuando ella trabajaba en un restaurante, ella tenía que escarbar la comida para tratar de recuperar los utensilios de metal que se iban sin querer. Ella ha hecho trabajo de cuidado de jardines, ha lavado escaleras, ha hecho ese trabajo duro que no es tráfico. Sin embargo, en la película, esta persona que las está empleando se acerca, tira la cubeta de agua y le dice que lo haga de nuevo, a pesar de que son altas horas de la noche, que ya ha trabajado todo el día. Eso sí se puede considerar tráfico. Es una carga de trabajo excesiva donde hay control y hay abuso.
No, I totally agree. Like, I can't tell you how many times people have told me, like, I made the meal perfectly, but it wasn't good enough. And, and he would throw it to the floor and say, make it again. Or, I set the tiles for, labor outside of the home cases where, they would do the work perfectly, but then the trafficker would be like, nope, it's not good enough, and just tear it up and make them do it again, just to demean them. And they're caught in this cycle of survival. So they can't even reflect on, why they feel so bad about themselves. I feel like that kind of like gratuitous just cruelty, just, it keeps them kind of,
Ya.
I don't want to say enslaved, but yeah, kind of caged or
Yeah.
Exacto. Entonces la abogada nos explica como cuando clientes nos comparten esta experiencia como yo hice la cena perfecta, pero a mi pareja, a mi abusador no le pareció bien y la lanza al piso, o fuera de casa cuando el empleador, yo coloqué los azulejos perfectamente, pero a mi empleador no le pareció, los quitó todos y me hizo hacerlo de nuevo. Estas prácticas no son solo el trabajo forzado, tienen también una parte psicológica que es tratar de hacer sentir mal a la persona y la persona que lo está viviendo no entiende de dónde viene este sentimiento, esta vergüenza, esta mala autoestima y pues es la manera del traficante, del abusador de mantenerlos en el ciclo. Creen que se sienten de esa manera, creen que no merecen más, que no pueden romperlo y se quedan ahí. Y entonces es un ciclo, la abogada Lauren, la palabra esclavitud le parece fuerte, pero en realidad sí es esta situación, desgraciadamente.
Yeah. I think what's so important, and I really hope that women who are hearing this hear my heart, and men, you as well, your dads of daughters and husbands of wives, and maybe husbands of husbands. But if this is happening in your life or it's happening in your sister's life, it's not acceptable. I really think that's the myth that needs to be busted. Is I know that I have people in my life who are living with abusive or really explosive partners or their parents. They're young people. I remember being that young person and not knowing what would set off the bomb of rage. And you just didn't feel safe in your own home because you never knew what you were going to do wrong. I remember as a kid, we didn't have a dishwasher. So, you hand wash everything. My dishwasher is my greatest, the dishwasher and the washing machine are my two favorite things. There's a meme right now, and Maria shared it in the chat the other day or maybe she shared it on her Facebook, where it was like, now I finally understand why people, when they would win on The Price is Right, when they would win a washing machine, they would cry. It's like, yes, I finally am at the age where I appreciate that. But I remember my dad getting a plate out of the cupboard and it was dirty and it had been washed, dried, and put away dirty. And he had me get every single, and that was my job. So he had me get every single pot, pan, plate, silverware, everything out. And I had to hand wash, dry, and put it away again because I hadn't done it right. And at the time I was living in South Haven, so I had to be under 10 years old. And in hindsight, I mean, I wasn't like getting screamed at while it was happening, but I was being taught that when you do a job, you do it right. Was it an extreme version of that lesson? Yes. Did the punishment fit the crime? Probably not. But that was a parenting lesson. But if you add in screaming and shouting to that and demeaning, that is no longer parenting, that's abuse. That's no longer, I don't think that would ever be acceptable for a spouse to do to another spouse. But if you're hearing this and you see any of this happen in your life, it's up to us to help our sisters get to safety. And it's up to us to speak life into them so they know that this is not acceptable and that they do not have to tolerate this, whether it's trafficking or whether it's to help them get a green card, because these are the types of things that we can help them with. At the end of the day, my heart is that if this is happening, you don't have to live this way. God didn't make you to be someone's doormat. God didn't make you to have to be perfect or you get screamed at. So there's a way out. And then if it is happening, it may be a very hard situation that it's gonna lead to something good for you for your immigration paperwork.
Exacto, entonces la abogada, lo que a ella más le gustaría compartir en este momento y hablar a las personas que nos están viendo es que si tú estás en esta situación o si conoces a alguien que está en esta situación, una hermana, un hermano en el que no se encuentran a salvo en su propio hogar, que su pareja, sus padres, sus hijos están en esta situación en la que todo tiene que ser perfecto o explotan, están siempre estresados porque no saben qué acción va a detonar la furia, los gritos, desafortunadamente a veces hasta los golpes. Hay una solución para esto. La abogada recuerda una anécdota cuando ella era menor de 10 años, su papá tomó un plato que había sido guardado sucio. Esa era la tarea de la abogada, entonces su papá, tratando de enseñarle una lección, le pidió que sacara todos los trastes que tenían, que los lavara a mano y que los secara y los guardara, como una lección de que cuando uno hace un trabajo lo tiene que hacer bien. Esta lección era un poco extrema para lo que había sucedido y en esa situación no había gritos, no había ganas de hacerla sentir menos, pero si a estas situaciones le agregamos que hay gritos, que hay insultos, que hay le dices a alguien que no vale nada por lo que hace, entonces tenemos una situación de tráfico. Entonces, si nosotros no estamos en esta situación, nuestro deber es comunicar que hay salida de estas situaciones, que hay, que si bien lo que estás viviendo es fuerte y debe ser difícil, hay una esperanza en cuanto a tu estatus de inmigración. O sea, esto tiene solución. Permítenos evaluar tu caso o el caso de alguien que conoces. Dios no te creó para ser abusado o abusada de esta manera, para ser al grado de servitud, de esclavitud. Hay salida de esto, queremos ayudarte y aunque esta situación haya sido terrible en cuanto a inmigración, el futuro que te espera es brillante y tiene mucha esperanza.
Mhm. Lauren, in your background and upbringing, what are things that you feel like at the time you didn't know that they were wrong, but now working in this space, you know that it's either abuse, which is something that is helpful for a VAWA case, puts you on a path to a green card, or could be trafficking. Because it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, trafficking is abusive, but for a thing of value. So like, if you want to live here, this is what you need to do for me. Have sex with me, do, I don't know, like nefarious things with my friends, do work for me, you know, those like I'm going to abuse you in exchange for something, that's T. I'm going to abuse you, that's VAWA. To control you, that's VAWA.
Exactly. Yeah. And to me, it seems like that's the biggest difference. Like Bao was more about, control, whereas T is just, it's more about profit. It's interesting because another thing that the government thinks about when they're deciding, whether or not a case is trafficking is unequal sleeping arrangements. And once again, so many of our clients tell us, or, like,
Over and over.
yeah, I was sleeping on the floor, he slept in the bed. And then when he wanted to have his way with me, he would come and take me and drag me to where he was. But, I slept on the floor without a blanket, or it's just so unequal. And, when you hear these people talk, you realize like there's not romance. Like it seems like there's no love or affection. Like I feel like a lot of our VAWA clients, their spouses are deluded. They think that it's love, but they don't know how to express it. That kind of like love doesn't hurt expression. But with our trafficking clients, I don't see the love at all. I don't think that, like I think maybe the first day that's how they kind of lure them in, but once they get them, the switch flips and there's no more love. It's all about, like you do this, you do that, or suffer the consequences, which are often brutal.
Exacto. La abogada están hablando sobre un poquito cuál es la diferencia, cuáles son los casos donde hay una diferencia entre el abuso que funciona para los casos de VAWA y el tráfico que funciona para los casos de Visa T. En los dos caminos, dependiendo de las circunstancias, hay una green card, pero es importante conocer la diferencia. Entonces, la abogada Lauren nos explica que en el abuso, en los casos de VAWA, el abuso es simplemente control, restricción. En cambio, una de las técnicas que utiliza el gobierno para diferenciarlos es si hay un beneficio. Es decir, si tú quieres vivir aquí, tienes que tienes que estar conmigo, tienes que limpiar mi casa, tienes que trabajar para mí, tienes que darme tu sueldo. Si quieres que yo te pida incluso que te ayude a obtener tus papeles, si quieres usar mi número de seguridad. O sea, hay en este intercambio donde el tráfico, donde el trabajo es excesivo, de alguna manera hay una recompensa para el abusador, hay un beneficio para el traficante y son las mayores diferencias. Una particularidad, por ejemplo, es el lugar donde se duerme, donde se descansa. Muchas veces vemos casos donde la persona tiene que dormir en el piso y el traficante duerme en la cama, a menos que él quiera obtener algo de la persona, duerme en la sala, no tiene cobija y entonces estas desigualdades son lo que nos indican que puede haber algo más. En estas situaciones no hay amor, a lo mejor lo hubo en la primera cita en la que están intentando atraer a la persona, pero no hay situaciones de amor, no hay una relación, es simplemente abuso, trabajo excesivo y control.
Mhm. Next week, let's talk about trafficking for men, because I think that we tend to, my heart is, I want to help anybody who's been in an abusive relationship or in a violent relationship or has been in a trafficking situation. And because I think I can more easily relate to women who have been in that situation because I am a woman, I tend to want to talk about those more. So let's talk next week about men who have been trafficked. Let's talk about by employers, injured on the job type of cases. So let's talk about those next week, if that's cool with you, Lauren.
Definitely, I'd love to.
Sí, entonces esta semana, bueno, últimamente hemos estado hablando mucho como el tráfico en casa, el tráfico de las mujeres, porque pues fácilmente es algo con los que nos podemos relacionar. Sin embargo, no se lo pierdan, la siguiente semana vamos a estar hablando sobre el tráfico a los hombres. En estos casos normalmente se ve en los empleadores, accidentes de trabajo, horas excesivas, amenazas incluso. No que no pueda estar en casa, pero son los casos que más vemos y estaremos tocando este tema.
Yes, I love it. And I think that the myth that continues to be busted for me is you think you know what something means with the government until you don't. And I've been doing trafficking work since 2010. I continue to learn the depth. That was when I did my first T visa case. I continue to learn the depth of what trafficking means and what abuse means every single day. So it's unknowable. The depth of it all is unknowable because the law is always growing and expanding.
Exacto, entonces creo que el mito principal que queremos explicar es cómo con el gobierno parece ser que sabemos qué significa algo hasta que no. Y la abogada explica cómo tiene más o menos unos 12 años trabajando con casos de tráfico, de abuso. Su primer caso de Visa T fue en el 2010. Y cada vez la ley cambia, la ley se expande, la ley explica detalles que no estaban explicados. Y podemos entender un poquito más de la ley. Obviamente siempre estamos aprendiendo, siempre estamos mejorando, pero lo importante a rescatar es que si los abogados siempre están aprendiendo y siempre están expandiendo sus conocimientos, lo más importante es ir a ellos cuando queremos evaluar un caso, porque si ellos a veces hay cosas que descubren a mitad de caso, ¿qué nos puede decir un vecino, un amigo, un primo sobre nuestro caso? Lo más importante es buscar ayuda profesional porque son temas delicados, pero hay esperanza para vivir libre.
Yes, absolutely. Lauren, any closing thoughts?
No, just that I'm looking forward to talking more about labor trafficking next week. Like you said, that's something that we need to discuss more as well. And that's also, a way to help a lot of people. So that'll be a good chat as well.
Yes, I look forward to it. Thank you both so much. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see you all next week for more TV So Tuesday.
Adiós a todos.
Adios.